Remove the wheel, take the lug nuts off using a 21mm socket. Remove the wheel. Loosen up this jam nut, use a 24mm wrench. Take the cotter pin off. You can use some side cutters, bend it back, and try to pull it out. Use a 22mm socket, take the casting nut off. Now there's different types of front end tools that you can use. I'm going to use this one that's just going to separate the tie rod from the knuckle. Just slide this in here, trying not to rip the boot. Now I'll just tighten this up. Now take the tie rod and we're going to twist it off. You're going to count the turns when you remove it. So 1, 2, 13, 13. Write that number down somewhere. I'm going to use some locking pliers and just prevent the tie rod from spinning the inner. Lock them down. Take a 24mm socket, take this nut off. Pull this clamp off. You can use some hose clamp pliers. Just slide that off. There's a clamp down here. We need to remove that. You can use a straight pick and just try to spread it out. Most of the times you have to replace these or use a wire tie. Sometimes you can reuse them. With that loose, I'm just going to grab the boot and just slide the boot off. If you need to, you can use a pick to try to get it over the lip. If you just twist it a little bit, that might help. There you go. On the back side where the tie rod is, there is an area where you could put a wrench. If you have a wrench that fits on there, you want to slide that in there so that you can lock the shaft of the steering rack from spinning. You don't want to mess that up while you're taking the tie rod end off. If not, you can use some locking pliers as close to the tie rod as possible, trying not to mess up the shaft at all. Find the correct adapter that works. Use the tie rod removing tool and loosen it up. And just unscrew it. Take the new tie rod, use a little thread lock adhesive if you want, and put it back on, same way it came off. And use the adapter. Make sure you hold on to those pliers, tighten this down, and make sure it's good and snug. It's good. You can take the jam nut off. Take the boot. You can put a little grease in the end of the boot, make it install a little easier. You could also come on the tie rod where the boot is going to sit, put a little grease right there. Now I'll just take a wire tie that's going to fit around the boot. We're going to end up putting it right there. I'll just get it close and slide it in position. Slide it over the steering gear. When that's sealed properly, then just tighten up the wire tie. I'll just tighten it down and then trim the excess. Now I'll put the clamp on. Get that lined up. It's good. Put the jam nut on. Now take the outer tie rod and make sure you count the threads. Put them back to where they were. 1, 2, 3, 12, 13. That way your alignment's going to be a little bit closer. Now line it up with the knuckle. slide it into place. Put the jam nut on. Now we're going to torque this to 63 foot-pounds. After that's torqued, if the castle nut doesn't line up with the hole, you can tighten it a little bit more so you can line the cotter pin up. That should be good. Take the new cotter pin and slide it through the hole. Take some side cutters and we'll bend it into place. You can just bend over one tab and trim the rest. I'll reinstall the tire, line that up, put the lug nuts on. Now we're going to torque the lug nuts to 98 foot-pounds in a cross pattern with a 21mm socket to tighten the wheel down evenly. And just go around again, double check. After you're done this repair, you want to make sure you bring the vehicle to a local shop to have it aligned so you don't have premature tire wear.